Good morning everybody, this is the Monday the 1st of February English lesson. We're starting a whole new English unit and we are going to be looking at explanation texts this week. So what I need you to do is go into your pack and find the piece of paper that says how to fly your hot air balloon and your text detective small sheet which says hot air balloon explanation text, and then is your 2 columns with text detective and colour. That is your first step today. So an explanation text, we're going to think about what it is and how we're going to use it this week. First of all, what is it? It is a piece of non-fictional writing, so that means it is completely real and it is used for a purpose. Writing, and it's explaining an action, process or an event in a detailed yet simple way. It features numbered points, time connectives, pictures, diagrams, labels and captions to help the receiver understand the process. So by the receiver it means the audience, to help explain to the audience what is needed to do. So an explanation text is basically an up-leveled version of instructions. So instructions, you know exactly what they are. You've been doing them since about year 1, year 2. So now we're taking it a little bit step further. And how an instruction becomes an explanation is by adding a conjunction. You're telling me why I am doing an instruction. For example, in a normal cookbook, it would say, put the flour in the bowl. Okay, so that is my instruction. I know it's an instruction because it starts with an imperative verb, put. Now, if I added a subordinating or coordinating conjunction, for example, put the flour in the bowl so the egg can blend together to make a paste. So I've used the word so, which is a subordinating conjunction, to help me explain to my audience why I am putting the flour in. So your audience is always asking, why? Why should I do that? Why? What does this do? What effect does it have? So an explanation text is telling them why they have to do a thing. An instruction. What's its purpose is to explain, and how we are going to use it this week is we're going to write a detailed explanation text, and our audience is going to be the ancient Egyptians' priests. Now, it was their job to mummify all the pharaohs and the bodies of the kings and queens of Egypt. So we're going to write an explanation text to a new priest who's doing the new role of doing this, and he has no idea how to do it. So we are going to give him a detailed explanation of what to do with this mummified body. So on the right hand side of the screen you can see a few sentences, and a really big part of an explanation text is using that cause and effect. We did this a lot last week in our SPAG, and the cause and effect is telling you why something happened. So this first sentence, I went to the shop because I had run out of milk, adds a subordinating conjunction, which is because, and it's telling me why I went to the shop. I went to the shop is a main clause, but I've added that subordinating conjunction to add in the why. So I've got 2 more. She wore her coat outside as it was raining. Again, I've added in a subordinating conjunction to tell the reader why she has put her coat on. It was my brother's birthday yesterday, therefore I ate lots of cake. And again, I've added a conjunction to tell what happened. So it's always giving that little bit of detail as to why something is happening. So what I want you to do for our first task is write a few sentences which include cause and effect. So for example, I ate all the chocolate because I was hungry. So I've got a main clause on its own, I ate all the chocolate, and I have added a subordinating conjunction because, and then I've added my effect as to why, my explanation, I was hungry. So I want you to do maybe 3 sentences using a cause and effect and adding in a conjunction to explain. That is your first task. So here we have a little reminder of what our conjunctions are and how we will be using them. So our coordinating conjunctions are our ones that we use in everyday life. They blend 2 sentences together to make 1 sentence. These 2 sentences, either side of my coordinating conjunction, are a main clause. They can make sense on their own. For example, I went to the park and I ate ice cream. I went to the park makes sense on its own, making it a main clause. And is a coordinating conjunction. I ate ice cream also is a main clause and makes sense on its own. However, a subordinating conjunction is a little bit different. It has to have a subordinating clause in it as well, which means a sentence that doesn't make sense on its own. Here's an example. Although I went to bed early, I still woke up late. So if I break those down into the two sentences, I would have, although I went to bed early. Now have a think, does that really make sense on its own? No, so that would make it a subordinating clause. I went to bed early does make sense on its own. So I've added a subordinating conjunction to make it a subordinating clause. Although I went to bed early, I still woke up late. And I still woke up late is a main clause because it makes sense on its own. So these ones are to bind my sentences, and this one is to add on to my sentences. So can you see the difference? Maybe I would like you to write a sentence with a subordinating conjunction and a sentence with a coordinating conjunction. Can you have a go at that now, please? So here is the success criteria for the text detective that you should have in front of you, and it's all about how to fly a hot air balloon. And this is an explanation text. It's explaining to me how I'm going to fly it. So here are some of the features that you will be making and using in your mummified explanation text. So I want you to be able to spot them in somebody else's. So the first thing I know you'll be able to spot really nice and easily is a clear title. So now I want you to put any colour you need or want into a clear title and underneath that, underline that title for me. Next we have the introductory paragraph, which is pretty simple and clear to see. You can just underline it or write a little star at the side in your chosen colour. Then the subheadings. Again, I want you to see those. I can spot 2 and you can underline those in a colour as well. The chronological order steps are a little bit hidden within them. So that means you might have to find the time adverbials at the same time, which will help you know which step is in chronological order. Brackets are nice and easy to see. If you know, we use them to have extra information. Adverbs of manner tell me how something is happening, usually ending in ly. Remember, we did these loads when we did our story. I have my conjunctions, so what I've just had on that last slide. See if you can find any that bond together. Our technical language, so anything that we don't really use in our day-to-day life that is specific for mummifying a body, that is what we're going to use. But if there's anything specific about how to fly a hot air balloon that sounds quite fancy and sounds quite important to the explanation, I think that's what we should underline. And then our conclusive paragraph, which is just those little 2 lines that concludes what it should happen at the end and finalizes our explanation text. So I have the first one in front of me, so I can read it with you, and we're going to underline the first few together. So we're going to break it up into 2 parts. So a clear title, I can see that, so I'm going to underline that in red. My next one is an introductory paragraph. I can see that really clearly as well, because it's introducing what I'm going to be explaining about. So that's quite a different thing to an instruction. Instructions usually go straight into it and tell you what you need to do and how to do it, whereas an explanation text kind of sells it to you first. They explain as to why you would like to do it and how to do it as well. They make you build up that suspense. They want you to get excited. Then I can see some subheadings, so that's going to help me block my information into paragraphs. So really my interesting facts isn't going to tell me exactly how to do it, it's just going to give me some interesting facts as to why I would like to do it as well. So that's my subheading. Chronological order steps. So I don't think I'm going to have any in these first 2 sections because I've not started my explanation yet. I'm going to quickly read through to see if I can see any first. As I thought, I can't find any of my chronological order steps because I've not started explaining it yet. So I can leave that one for now and I can go into my brackets. Now they're dead easy to spot. So I'm going to go, I can't see any in there, and it's gives me some extra information here and here and down here. It's quite informal, and 248 Fahrenheit. So they're giving me some extra information about the size and the height and the temperature of this. Now something that we're going to use as well is what will be needed with our mummification, what kind of ingredients we will need, what will we need to make our mummification. So you can see on here it tells you what a hot air balloon consists of. So I'd need a basket, I'd need 4 big gas tanks, a burner and the balloon. So this is what we're going to look at when we do our mummification, about what we'll actually need to actually start the process of mummification as well. So that's kind of a key one, even though it isn't in my text detective. My next one is adverbs of manner. I'm going to pause and see if I can find any first. You have a look through, see if you can see any. So I'm going to read through and find some conjunctions in green. So any I saw a wabobs, any fanboys that will help join my sentences together. So let's have a look. Let's this is a brand new invention. Oh, I spot a relative clause but not a conjunction over here, which simply cannot be missed is my relative clause, but it's not in there. I've got some rhetorical questions. Oh, I have got a time connective here, but it's not what I'm looking for a conjunction. Therefore is a nice conjunction, linking my sentences together. And I think that is the only one. Oh, and is down here. And I'm going to keep that for now because I think there's going to be lots more on the next page. Technical topical vocabulary, there is quite a few that I wouldn't use in my day-to-day life and is really only applicable for this hot air balloon. So I'm going to use contraption. I'm going to use glide through the sky, which is a nice phrase. I'm going to use hot air balloons, which is a key vocabulary. I'm going to underline all of this important kind of factual language that's really topical. The temperature, topical language here, and then obviously what I needed as well. So in my section that I had in yellow, which was my helper of what I will need. So I've gone through this first section, I've underlined a few, but I think there's going to be a lot more in my second section. So I've done my clear title, I've done my paragraph, now I've got my subheading, I spot my other one. And I'm not going to do this one for a minute because I'm just conscious that you're doing it along with me. I would like you to do it first and then come back to the video to make sure you've got it right. So we've done the first bit together, but I want you to do this bit on your own. And then you can come back to the video and listen to me do it with you as well. Okay? So chronological order steps and time adverbials kind of go together on this one. We have firstly, next, and then. I've got after this, next, now, when the pilot is ready to go tells me a time adverbial because it's when he is ready. And when we are ready to land, and there are my time adverbials. And as you can see, they are also in chronological order because it goes from when we're going up to when we're in the sky to when we're landing. So my next one is brackets. So again, they're quite easy to spot. I have some here, I have some over here. It takes people because of its large size, so I've got some extra information about how many people it needs, and I think that's it. And then adverbs of manner, so how they do it, I'm going to do in some blue. The cables go underneath, she connects the hoses, two people. I'm looking for those ly words because they will really help me. Cautiously. I have accurately. I have gradually, and I have eventually, which is also a time adverb. So I've gone down it and I've spotted this ly word and it's telling me how, but really it's a time adverbial because it's telling me eventually it's going to go down, so sooner rather than later. And next we have our conjunctions, so I'm going to have a look through. Bear with me as I'm reading it with you at the same time. The pilots into the socket on top. She carefully, oh I missed carefully up there, look, see, even I have to keep reading back to make sure I've got one. Carefully. Purple for my connectives. So in purple, I found my connectives until, as a result, and therefore. I've got an and down here as well. My next one is technical language. Let's see where I can spot that in yellow. So in yellow, I've done my technical language of the things that is really really important for my explanation text, and it's really topical for my hot air balloon. Then I've got my conclusive paragraph, which is my nice and easy one to tell me when something happens at the end, this is the outcome. So it's just my last couple of sentences here. What I really want you to spot is it never gives an instruction and doesn't tell you why. It always uses conjunctions and it uses explanations as to why something is happening. So for example, she connects the hoses from the full gas tank to the burner. This allows it to be tested. So she's not just telling me to put it in the burner full stop. She's telling me why this allows it, why I should do it. So I'm getting a reason as to why I'm doing an instruction. So this is your first task to do the text detective like we would do in school. For a small extension, you can circle the modal verbs. You did, again, some spag on this last week, so see if you can remember what a modal verb is. I'll give you a clue. Must, would, will, can't, should, yeah? So have a go at if you can circle any of the modal verbs that I'd really like to see. And then your final task is on the next slide. In your packs, you will have a Venn diagram that looks like this. What I want you to do is write out all the things that instruction texts have, all the things that explanation texts have, and then in the middle, I want you to write out anything that they have in common. So for example, what an instruction text has and what an explanation text doesn't have is it has a numbered, it's really hard to write like this. Order. So down the side, it would say 1, 2, 3, 4, whereas usually an explanation text doesn't really use that. That uses more time adverbs rather than a chronological number. An explanation text has a lot more conjunctions, as we know, to tell us why. So I can put some, not adjectives, I've done that wrong, adverbials, Miss Imsworth. It's really hard to write on this with my mouse. Adverbials. Oh my goodness, my handwriting on this. Time adverbials. Conjunctions. Oh my goodness. Conjunctions. And then what they would both have is they both have diagrams and images. So pictures and diagrams. You're going to make it sound so much better than mine because mine's all doing this. So diagrams, it also has modal verbs together. They also have imperative verbs, so bossy verbs, to tell me how to do something. And they both have an introduction as well. A instructional text has a what you need really, really clearly at the top, whereas an explanation text does have a what you need, but it is within a paragraph, so it's not a bullet point list. So there's some similarities and differences within the two. So have a go at doing your own Venn diagram and send me some pictures. Yours will look so much better than mine because I've got rubbish handwriting on my laptop, but you have a go, and then I can't wait to see them on Dojo. This is your English for today. Good job.